Welcome to the podcast. This is the Loudness McEvil Symposium. My name is Jason. I thought for this first episode I would just take some time to introduce myself and tell you what I hope to accomplish by doing this podcast. 30 years I struggled with a crippling addiction to opiates, and I abused many other drugs in that time period, and for probably 29 years I was trying not to be addicted to opiates. And I find myself today in a fairly unique position where I survived homelessness and incarceration and sickness. Yay! I'm able to report back from the other side about what I've learned. So I feel like it's my duty, if not my purpose, to try to educate people about what addiction is and hopefully inspire people who were struggling with the same problems that I was. From a really young age, I was drawn to the darker side of society. I remember in the 6th grade, the police brought in a plexiglass cabinet full of confiscated drugs to scare us straight, and all I can remember thinking is, I can't wait to try that. I don't know 100% why that is. I know Gabor Mate, who was my doctor briefly, thinks trauma causes all addiction, and I'm sure that played a role, but I think it was pop culture, to be honest. The legends of dead actors, more so dead rock stars, but just that the glamour, in finger quotes, of being an addict. Nobody really explained when I was a kid what it really meant. They just said, don't do it. And that oversimplifies it. So I think it's really important that, this message gets out to children, even if it's not woke or, if it's hard to talk about. Childhood trauma also plays a massive role in all addiction. The percentage of people who were sexually abused as children is huge amongst drug addicts. I don't know exact numbers. I don't know numbers amongst behavioral addiction or anything like that. It played a part in my own story as well. I'm probably not going to talk a whole lot about it because it's triggering to people, but just know that it is there, that is part of it, and I will be doing episodes, or certainly an episode about trauma, and I'll talk about it a bit more. I just want people to know who share that experience that it's okay to talk about it. I've talked about it openly many, many times before, and I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I'm not afraid to talk about it. For me, it just isn't necessary anymore to talk about the details. But it is there. Childhood trauma is a real thing. It affects so many people. People are ashamed to talk about it. They're embarrassed to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Parents tell their kids to just keep it quiet. It's tragic. If you're worried about your kids hearing foul language, then how are they ever going to learn about real life? And how are they ever going to know what to avoid if you don't tell them what it is and what it will do, and if they don't see it? I know for me that if somebody had explained to me that, some of my favorite musicians weren't necessarily musicians with drug problems, but that they were junkies who played music, and I was able to visualize what their lives were really like and what the pain I was looking forward to was going to be, I would have made different choices when I was very young, when I still had the ability to make those choices. I'm in no way trying to blame anybody for the decisions I did make when I was a kid. My family are amazing. I come from great people. Addiction can happen to anybody. All I'm saying is that if maybe the topic was easier to talk about, if it was approached differently, more honestly and openly, that people wouldn't turn to substances to cope. And if they do happen to find themselves with an addiction, they won't feel ashamed about it, and they will actually ask for help before they die. And you will need help. That is something I know for sure. I tried for years to do it by myself. I lied. I kept it secret, trying to protect people I loved. Mostly, I think, really protecting my addiction, because if people didn't know, then they wouldn't try to make me stop. But even when I did want to stop, I would lie about it. And then I would try to do it by myself, come up with some cockamamie plan about, I'll just, lock myself in my room and I'll drink a bunch of liquor so that I won't feel sick. Or I'll use weed to do it. Or I'll use any other drug that isn't prescribed by a doctor and do it by myself. It's not possible. Even if I got sober, locked in a cage, because I was incarcerated for drug-related crimes briefly, I didn't learn anything. I was just sober. Like, my body being sober and my mind being sober are entirely different things. And I will talk about that more in future episodes. I will tell my entire story as time goes on. I will try my best to describe what life was like on the streets, how I got to the streets from a good family, how lonely it was, the pain, the violence, the insanity. I will do my best to describe every single aspect of it as we move forward. But the emphasis will be on how I got clean. I mean, obviously that's the important part. And the people that have come back into my life that I never thought I'd see again, the incredible situations I found myself in now, I'm going to share, juxtaposed to my life just even a couple of years ago to now. It's amazing how fast things can turn around. And that's the message I want people to walk away with, is that the people you see out on the street, standing in traffic, trying to get money for whatever it is they're trying to get money for, are people. They came from somewhere. They're somebody's kid. They're somebody's brother or sister or whatever. And they're not hopeless. So that is the purpose of this podcast, to educate people, to inspire people, to hopefully change lives, if not save lives, and to help me come to terms with why my life turned out the way it did. It turned out amazing, spoiler alert, but it was not for a very, very long time. So what is this addiction thing we're talking about? Well, it's a chronic brain disorder. It's about compulsive engagement in a behavior or use of a substance despite consequences. It messes with the reward systems in your brain, it hijacks motivation, and eventually it drives behavior from somewhere between desperation and automatic response. That's kind of the medical definition of it, but to say it in, layman's terms, it's when something that you used to use or used to do in order to feel better takes over your life and starts running it like a dictator or the president. I'm not in the United States, so I can say that without fear of Elon Musk showing up with his chainsaw. Human beings can get addicted to an absurdly long list of things, and I'm going to list it right now. Alcohol, heroin, crystal meth, cocaine, nicotine, caffeine, sex, porn, shopping, social media, gambling, eating, not eating, exercising, work, your phone, your ex, approval, adrenaline, lip balm, nose spray, seriously, power, chaos, rage, being liked, validation from strangers online, your reflection, ASMR videos, the news, conspiracy theories, supplements, therapy, self-improvement, sadness, misery, control. Yes, if your brain can catch a good feeling from it, it can get addicted to it, and it just might. I don't say that to be a fearmonger. I just think people always believe that it's not going to happen to them, but it can and it might, and if it does, you need to be prepared for it. The societal collateral damage caused by addiction is very difficult to quantify. ERs are filled with overdoses and untreated chronic damage. Ambulances are being called out to revive people on the street. The police chase ghosts and we criminalize illness. Relationships are frayed, family trust is broken, and take it from me, once trust is damaged, it's very, very hard to repair. The economy is affected, there's a loss of productivity, there is property damage, theft. The cost of incarceration is astronomical. The cost of treatment is far less. I don't know why we try to punish the pain out of people, but we do. Children are affected by addiction, and intergenerational trauma is wrapped in silence, and people aren't able to celebrate their own cultures. Addiction is why prisons are full. It's why our ERs have reclining chairs. It's why TikTok is so popular. It's why Netflix is upping their price every 2 months. But it's also why we have the 12-step program, why we have CBT, why we have the SMART program, why we have rehab centers. It's why we have naloxone. And it's important to know that there is help out there for anybody. Today's episode of the Loudness McEvil Symposium is proudly sponsored by gambling. Are you tired of stability? Tired of having the rent by the 5th of each month? Is there still food for your dog in the cupboard? If this sounds like you, why not try gambling? The age-old thrill of watching your savings disappear one bet at a time. If you like slot machines, sporting apps, or poker nights that end with quiet sobbing, gambling has something for everyone. It's got flashing lights, addictive sounds, delusional optimism. And now, thanks to technology, gambling is available 24/7 right in your empty pockets. Because nothing says fun like chasing a dopamine hit and ignoring your kids in a parking lot. Gambling. It's only a problem if you lose. Side effects may include insomnia, bankruptcy, divorce, and existential dread. Back in the day, addiction was seen as a sin. It was a moral failure. It was a weakness of the will. And then it became criminalized. And then it was a disease, and then it was a brain disorder, and then a trauma response. And now it's kind of a combination of all of those things, depending on what country you live in, what state you live in, or what year it is. Public opinion moves very slowly, but it is moving, and now addiction is seen not so much as a what is wrong with you, and more of as what happened to you. So as the views and beliefs around addiction evolve, so do the ways people come up with to try to beat addiction. So we've got 12-step programs like AA and NA and CA. In fact, if you can be anonymous in a room with other people, there's a meeting for you. There's SMART recovery, there's refuge recovery, medicated assisted treatment, psychedelic treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, trauma-focused therapy, faith-based recovery, cold turkey in a cabin with a raccoon for support, harm reduction, sober living homes, jail doesn't work, shame really doesn't work, yoga, boxing, journaling, screaming into a canyon, gritting your teeth, creating podcasts like this one. Addiction is hydra-headed, so recovery has to be too. There is no single way out. There are dozens. Some people can get by with one way, some people by using another, some people have to combine several. So that's it. I just wanted to take a quick minute to introduce myself, to talk a little bit about what I intend to do. I'll be doing episodes about the what and the why of addiction. I'll take a deep dive into different substances, different behaviors. I'll take a look at addiction from a historical context and how it's affecting us today. Most importantly, I'll talk about different ways people can get into treatment, different ways people can find their way to freedom the way that I did. And I hope you join me. It's very important. Next week, I'm going to talk about neuroscience of addiction. It doesn't sound very interesting, but it's actually the piece that was missing for me and finally got me over the hump and to a place that where I am today, where I feel confident I will never have to use a substance again to cope with life. And that's a miracle. And I'd like to share that with you. I also wanted to let you know that as time goes on, production values should rise. I've spent the last couple of months learning how to use Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Audition, Photoshop, Illustrator. I've learned how to use Audacity, OBS. So I'm teaching myself as I go. I also built my own website with GoDaddy, loudnessmcevil.com. Check it out. There's not a whole lot there right now, but you can connect back to here if you want to. So anyway, as time goes on, I'm going to learn more. Things will get better. Thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, like whatever it is you're supposed to do, I don't know what I'm supposed to say, but do those things so the algorithm gods will smile on me. And subscribe if you're listening, and I'll see you soon.